Well, I'm excited to have Amelia here to show us a tutorial. We just recorded an incredible episode. If you haven't heard it yet, you need to go over to theflowerpodcast.com. You can listen to it right there on our website, or of course, if you subscribe on a listening app, it'll be there waiting for you. But we're going to share a tutorial now. She's going to walk through the actual platform that so many people are falling in love with. So I want to make sure I'm excited because I've seen a little bit of it, but I don't know that I've seen the whole walkthrough yet. So I hope everybody fastens your seatbelt. And thank you, Amelia, for doing this. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you for suggesting this. It's a great idea. So I'll just walk you through a tour and we can kind of start with the farmer side and then move over to the florist side and see what buyers see on the other side when they're looking to purchase product. So this is my farm. This is my real farm here and my site. I grow flowers in New Hampshire for anybody who didn't listen to the podcast. And I'm going to focus on cut flowers, but we do offer all of these different product categories that folks list product in. It's interesting because as you watch sort of the cycle of the year, we really sort of start with cut flowers and move into buckets and bouquets later in the spring, and then dried flowers in the fall and wreaths, then we also have kind of the CSAs and potted plants, which tend to hit earlier in the calendar year. But I'll focus mainly on cut flowers unless you have specific questions about some of those others.
I think this is great.
Perfect. So when we look at our inventory, we really think about product as visible, so something that we want our buyers to be able to see, and some or things that are hidden, so things that we don't want our buyers to be able to see right now. And we do this so that we can kind of group all of our product, be able to refer back to listings from one week to the next or one season to the next, but not and not have to recreate them, but make sure that everything is still really kind of right at your fingertips and accessible there. I'll go through the process of adding a new listing here. So all you do is click the add a new listing button. You select the image for the flower that you're looking for. These are all coming from your own image library. So these are not rooted photos. If you wanted to use our sort of uh, canned image there, you could see just the icon that was there. But our florists have made it really clear that they definitely want to see pictures of your flowers, not a stock photo of what it's supposed to look like. And we'll say that we're listing our cafe au laits here. So there's a space here if you want to provide a little bit more context about the flower. We find that our dahlia growers tend to get really detailed in the descriptions that they provide about their dahlias, and some of them like to share sort of the emotional impact that that particular color dahlia can have on you. And then there are other folks who use it. I tend to use this description field if I'm listing out snaps or foxglove, something where I would want to call out these are first cuts or these are third cuts. Anemones are another great example. Make sure it's clear in this description field that these are a little bit different, and there can be some variability. Then we are going to select our price. So rooted does not dictate your price. You're free to price your product at whatever you'd like to. But we do give you suggestions for flowers that we're seeing being sold in some volume across the country. So this can be really helpful for people who are, maybe growing something new that they haven't grown before, maybe growing something that they're just not sure what a wholesale price should look like on this item. And what it essentially does is you'll see this little alert here to the side, and it's waiting for me to enter a price. And so I'm going to enter, let's say I'm going to enter $2 a stem for my cafe au lait. It's going to tell me that that's too low. This is letting me know that this is a lower price than what Rooted sees other growers across the country listing this item at. And the same would be the case if I, wanted to list this at $7 a stem. It's going to tell me this is too high. And so if I pick a number that actually is within the range that we'd expect to see, I'm going to be sort of reaffirmed there that I'm choosing something that is sort of in that expected price range.
Let me ask you a
But
real quick
yeah.
question. Sorry, but so I think about regional uh, availability when I think of this issue. For
Hmm.
example, I think of cafe au laits that produce maybe 50% of what they do up in the 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 land of plenty up in Washington, Skagit Valley up there,
Hmm.
where dahlias produce just like weeds up there.
Yep.
So I would question, does it get into that or it's just an overall average nationwide?
We've talked a lot with growers about we have the ability to provide regional data. And we've heard from a lot of growers, especially kind of the more experienced folks who are concerned about artificially deflating the market where they are
Mm,
because there are prices coming in that are just lower than they ought to be. And so if we are creating this kind of echo chamber for very rural areas where you're pricing your cafe au laits at $1 a stem, I think there is a question from growers across the country of, is it really appropriate to do that? Is that really, yes, that's the price you're selling it at, but is it the right price? And I think we're not going to be dictating price for that reason, but I think the idea that we would um, choose a region, there are questions around, well, what is Rooted saying is the right geography for my farm?
oh,
And do I
sure.
really feel like that's the right geography for my farm?
Right.
Because in reality, I'm selling into the Boston market. So if a grower near me is selling cafe au laits at $1 a stem, and I am narrowing that geography in a way that doesn't actually make sense for these farms, I think there are just questions there. So the feedback we've heard from farms who are using this is, please don't make it regional,
Okay.
because we want to know what is the national average, so that we can understand, what are the national ranges, so that we can understand um, how we should fit our own prices into that.
Well, it's great feedback for them. I mean, to be
Yeah.
able to objectively price a STEM and to know kind of where they are, and then they can tweak things accordingly, of course. Anyway,
Yep.
sorry, I
Yep.
didn't mean to interrupt, but I was just
No, that's
curious.
okay. That's okay. So then we're going to choose a color. So you have the option to kind of choose from any of these as your dominant color. It doesn't need to be fully representative. Um,
I love what I saw. There, go down. Okay, so it's the blush light pink versus apricot peach. I mean, I love those are some and coral sound. That's great. I love that.
yeah, there's a lot more granularity, especially on the pinks. I think you can imagine, especially as you get into peony season, we have growers who have very strong feelings about what colors they should be allowed to call their flowers, and so there's a lot more granularity on
I
those
like that.
pinks.
Okay.
So you choose your dominant color. I'm going to go with blush or light pink on my cafe au laits. And then I'm going to choose a stem length. And so we'll say that these are 12 to 16 inches. And then stems per bunch, you choose, do I have 5 or 10? And it's up to you, however many you want to list there. And then you have the option of listing a little bit more information, but it's not required. We find that if you're selling something that's really unusual, that florists haven't worked with before, it can be helpful information to provide a little bit of, kind of expectations around vase life, where you're giving them this range of, these are very short lived, or yes, if you buy these on Wednesday, you can generally expect them to be alive for your Saturday event. And then we have bloom size as an option. I always recommend using bloom size if you're selling dahlias in particular, because it's really hard to tell scale from photos.
Yeah.
So I always recommend giving bloom size for that. And then you can either list it now, and if you list it now, it'll ask you how many bunches you have. And then you can list your start dates, or you don't have to list it now and you can just create the listing and come back to it later. I obviously don't have dahlias this time of year, so we can just create that and then come back to it later. If we want to unhide product, it's a pretty simple process. So I'm just looking, I'll say I'm getting ready to do tulips. And so I can see, what do I have for tulips here? I'm going to unhide this, and I will unhide this one and unhide this one. And then I'll come back over here and clear my search, and I can see all of my product here. It's going to give me alerts where I haven't listed any quantity. So I can go in there and just quickly update. Yep, I've got 10 bunches of that. I've got 8
That's nice.
bunches of these. And these here, I've got 6 bunches.
Did I see up in the search? Can you search by color?
You can sort by color right here. So these
Okay.
arrows, you just click the arrow to sort, and then you can do an alpha sort. You can sort by whatever makes sense for you for whatever you're looking
Sure.
for, or you can search for a specific item here. So if you're looking for tulips, I can see at a glance all the tulips that I have actively listed, and I can just go right through there.
I realized what my question was is more of a retail question than necessarily the growing
Oh, on
side
the
of
buyer
it.
side, yes. On the buyer side, you can search by color. Yep. On the buyer side, you can.
I mean, I see the markup up there.
Yeah. So the process of making your product visible is just deciding what dates you want to list it for. So I'm going to list it for the next 8 days, and I'll just hit update all. Yes, I'm sure. And then it just sets all my product for the next 8 days. I can decide that I want to list it through. So I sell into a collective here. I also sell directly to florists, and I'm going to allow for retail customers to purchase also. So these are my neighbors. These are people who buy from my farm directly, but they're end consumers, and it's really not appropriate for them to be paying those wholesale prices. So for those folks, I'm going to apply a markup. And so we'll say it's a 30% markup, and then I just hit apply to all. And then you don't have to actually create new listings. You don't have to create a double store. You don't have to manage 2 different sites. You're doing everything from one place here. You're listing and managing all of your product in one spot, and you're getting all of your orders in one spot. And so this is a really simple way for you to be able to manage all of your product across all these different channels. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah. And the other thing, I always get concerned about, and I guess it was just because working for a wholesaler, um, is availability because you in one place you have a live inventory and it can go out in 3 different channels. I mean,
Yeah.
that's crazy. And then it just updates as people buy
Yeah, this just
in
updates
real
right as
time.
people purchase, and that really it increases your reliability as a seller, as a grower, where you're trying to manage all these different relationships, and you're not risking, you know, am I allocating too much to this channel and not enough to this one? Because I can do it all in one place, and I don't have to worry about whether or not I picked the right number, and I'm overselling to somebody or underselling to somebody. Here, you just have it all in one place.
Yeah.
And so whoever you're deciding to allow to purchase your product is able to do that. And then you've got, you can blow up your photos so you can see the actual flowers, so that you can actually get a good look at, I mean, look at the speckles here. This is my
It's just
favorite. I love
gorgeous.
this flower so much. And you can see my daughter's grubby little nails in there. She's my hand model for all my flowers. And
She's
and
probably
then
pulled a few weeds too along the
oh,
way.
she
So
had, yeah, reluctantly, but she has. So then I'm going to come over to where I manage all my relationships, and I do all of my retail here, and I do all of my wholesale here as well. So you can see, for my retail customers, I'm willing to let them pick up at my farm on Wednesdays, and I'm willing to do Wednesday deliveries I'm going to price this here at $8. And then I'm going to set the zip codes that I'm willing to deliver to. And so I'll just pick a bunch of zip codes here, enter them, it saves them. And then anybody within those zip codes can order a delivery from me. Rooted just maps people who exist in those zip codes. That's the address that they have on file, and all of your deliveries wherever you're willing to bring product.
if I were to hop on being in Georgia with my zip code, obviously you don't deliver, and obviously I'm not picking up.
Yep.
So would I
You
just not
wouldn't see
see
my
your
product.
farm?
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
You wouldn't
That's
see
so
my
nice.
product.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you just wouldn't see my product. The only product that you would see would be product that you're able to purchase in your region. So from farms near you or farms who are willing to deliver to you, and that's really how that system works.
Great.
And then if you don't want to sell retail or you want to offer it to your wholesale customers first, you can do that. So I can turn off my retail folks, give my wholesale folks, my florists, my designers 24 hours to order before I open it up to my retail customers, or not. It's completely up to you. It's customizable to whatever decision makes sense for you and for your farm. These are a bunch of wholesale relationships. So for grocery, I do not charge a delivery fee. That's just the decision that we've made. So I have a 0 here, and I will offer product delivery on Wednesdays to them. I'm not going to offer pickup to them because that's not possible for them, and so I just wouldn't offer it. But then there are folks who are close to me who, this is somebody who's a couple miles from my house. I'm not going to charge her a delivery fee, and I'm also going to offer her delivery pretty much any day of the week. I'm happy to just run product down to her, and same thing for pickup. I'm happy to have her come by my farm any day of the week, and that's fine. If I was working with somebody who was farther away and felt like they needed a higher delivery fee, I can just differentiate that there. I can, say this is somebody who's 2 hours from me, and so I'm gonna charge her $25, and maybe I want to only deliver on Tuesdays. And then all of those settings hold. And once I make those decisions, I don't have to come in here every week and mess with it and make decisions. I can just make these decisions across my entire season, whatever makes sense. And then these constraints, these settings, whatever I've decided for these customers, that's what they're able to choose from. So on the buyer side, we'll go over in a minute, and this will be the flour mill. I'll say hi, Joanna, because she's my friend who runs a shop down in Massachusetts, and so I always use her profile as I'm demoing this. So before we hop over to the buyer side, we'll just kind of take a look at this. There are a couple of different ways that you can connect. So I think a big question is, how do we form these relationships? Well, one way is that you can just look at your nearby buyers. So in areas where we have a lot of folks on the platform, we're going to see a list of all of the connections that my farm could make with people near me. So these are all buyers near me who I could connect with, and I'm able to just request a connection. If I'm not connected with them, they cannot see my product. That's how the wholesale relationships work. That's to make sure that you as a farmer really are sure you want to build that relationship, and that as the designers, you're confident about the relationships that you're building also. And so there's sort of this like Facebook for farmers or LinkedIn for farmers, where we're building these networks of connections that you opt into, as opposed to risking people placing orders with you that you just don't want to allow for whatever reason, whatever makes sense for you.
One thing I like about that, if you can go back to it for just a second,
Sure.
is, let's say that you only had 2 or 3 zip codes and that's what you were comfortable with. But if all of a sudden you see, oh, well, maybe if I just go another 3 miles, I can pick up 5 more shops or something like that, or
Yep.
pick up that one zip code that might make it worth your while when you can tell how far away they are. I mean, that's
Yeah.
that's pretty cool. I mean,
Yeah,
I'm
you can.
that's really helpful information that's just not easy to, it's always seems time consuming to figure out and map out when you don't even have relationships with people. So
Yeah.
that's great.
Yeah, it's a really nice feature, and it's allowed people to build relationships that they would not necessarily have built otherwise. These
Sure.
are often people who they maybe weren't even on their radar before, and so now they're able to kind of begin getting to know these people and working with them and offering them product. And it's been really fun for us to watch that kind of footprint grow, for everybody involved. And then the other way that you can start working with folks is if there are florists who you either already have a relationship with and you'd like to start selling to them through Rooted. It's free for designers to join. There's no cost to them. We do ask them to fill out a short application, but the main goal there is that we know that you're actually a florist and you have a reseller certificate. We are not charging those wholesale buyers sales tax, and so we need to know that you actually are a real business. So we do have them fill out an application, but it's free. There's no cost to them. And you can just invite them here. You can enter their email address. You can send them a little message here. You can add that in. And then we send this email out to them that says, hey, you have somebody who really wants to work with you on Rooted. Here's what Rooted is for. Here's how it can simplify your ordering process in your life. And then it sends them an invitation. So they're able to hop right into Rooted and start buying from you. So we'll hop over, unless
I
you have
love
other
this.
questions on that.
No, this is great.
We'll hop over to
I want to say
Amelie's
this
profile.
that I just thought of too, and you probably will say this in a minute, but I just thought, as a farmer trying to develop relationships with new customers, having a platform like this, I would think gives you so much credibility because it makes you just look more professional. It obviously if they're on here already, they're in the habit of using this platform. So I mean, it just seems really like an incredible, shot in the arm of, making it work. So
I think it does help with that sort of professionalism. I think, when we think about florists and their, if they do have objections or hesitations in working with small farms, really trying to understand what those are, it almost always boils down to communication. Almost always, thinking that if they don't, maybe there are attributes that they don't feel like they understand. And here they're able to go in. You can see my description for this flower. You can see that I'm saying these are 20 to 24 inches in stem lengths. You can see kind of more detail around the listing, and you're able to actually kind of blow up that photo and see what is it that I'm buying here, what, give me more detail about this item. And you're able to see who the farm is. You're just able to have a level of transparency here very quickly, add things to your cart. As you're adding them to your cart, you're able to choose what is the fulfillment option. If I decide that, I'm willing to pick up from farms farther away, then I can see that I actually have pickup as an option too. So I can just choose whatever makes sense for me. I'm gonna place an order here and I'm gonna add pickup. And then I can go through, and any of these other items that I wanna add to my cart, you can see the cart up here. Any of these other items that I wanna add to my cart, I can do that. It'll let me know, my Zoom window's in the way here, let's see. It'll let me know that this is the delivery option that I picked. I chose pickup, and so I've already got one in my cart. If I want to choose a different one, I'm able to. So if I'm buying for like a Thursday night event and then also for a Sunday brunch and might want to differentiate my order depending on, what I'm buying for, I can do that. Or if I want to just get everything on the same day, that's also possible. So I'm able to kind of shop in a way that makes sense to me. If I maybe am not sure what I'm looking for, but I know my color palette and I want to search for, things that really fall into this color palette, I'm able to do that really simply. I'm able to kind of, filter out, maybe I don't want the apricot and I really want to see all of these kind of other whites and pinks and blushes. I'm able to see all of the flowers that fall into those color categories. If I am looking for that color category, but also a spike flower, I'm able to see those flowers that meet both of those criteria. If I'm really open to anything, then I can just kind of browse. Or if there are specific shapes that I'm looking to fill, I can do that too. So anything that's really a disc flower is going to pop out at me here, and I'm going to be able to shop in a way that for me as a designer actually makes sense and allows me to kind of sift through product that either feels like it's maybe there's too much product for me to really know how to filter down my results, or maybe there are items that I'm just not sure which criteria they fill, or how they'd fit into my arrangements or the recipes that I'm building. I can really use this to kind of help narrow my search a bit. Does that all make sense?
yeah, my brain is just spinning because I'm seeing all the possible. I mean, as, as a wedding or event florist, I see, wow, this is really, really incredible. Or if I'm ordering, like I already have, let's say, a standing order on some flowers that have come in, and I'm needing more blue items or I'm needing more yellow items. You know, you can
Yep.
search for that too, or you can just search for everything and just have fun buying locals product. I mean, it's
Yeah.
just really great.
Definitely. Definitely. No, it's really flexible, and that was really our goal in kind of putting this together is to, every florist has different habits. They're going to be approaching their buying
Right.
decisions differently, and what works for one designer isn't always what works for another designer. And somebody who really just wants to go in and browse, that is possible here. They're able to kind of go and click through all the different pages and see what are all these fun new things that I haven't seen. Or somebody who says, nope, I'm really looking for this specific, you know, design element, or I'm looking for this specific color or this specific flower. They're able to do that too. So it's really a very flexible system, in terms of kind of how it meets the needs of all of our florists and designer customers.
And then as far as like paying for it, I mean, how does that work?
Yeah, so we'll just go over here to the cart page. I would just add my credit card here. I'd place my order here, and if I want to add order notes, we have some florists who are, just kind of, however you bring it to me, I'll be happy with it. Or other florists who say, gosh, I have a bride who really needs XYZ cut in this way. And then you can specify in your order notes here, and that goes right through to the grower. So you just place your order. You're not charged at this point because you haven't received your product yet. So you would not be charged. At this point, all you're doing is entering your credit card, and it's a promise to pay when you get the product. And then the grower actually will charge you after they deliver your product. So once they're sure that they've got everything that you've ordered, and show up and bring it to you, or maybe they have more than what you ordered and they bring extra and they say, hey, I've got all these extra tulips. Do you want to take extra? I know you ordered 3 bunches. Actually, I've got 5. Do you want to take a couple extra? And then they can just edit that and press charge, and you're able to pay for it right then.
So as a buyer,
Yeah.
I shop by farm, or does it, like, for example, if there's several farms in one area, can I shop them all at the same time, or how does that work?
Yeah, so if there are several farms all in the same area and you're connected with all of them, so they all show up here on your growers page, and they've all got product visible to you, then you could see them all in one place here. You could shop from all of them at the same time. You'd be choosing, obviously, delivery would be different depending on what each farmer allowed for you. But you can place just kind of a one-stop shop across all your farms and be able to order it all together here.
That's nice. Well, I know, being again on the wholesale end, that there are platforms out there. They're not auction platforms, but sometimes inventory is so tight, and by the time you check this farm and go to the next farm, this farm that you went to second sold out of what you really needed that the first farm didn't have. And so it's just kind of nice to be able to see everybody together, and that way you can see, you don't have to spend a bunch of time hopping from one farm to the next. So that's really great.
Yeah, and also all of the inventory that you put in your cart is yours. And you've got an hour. So you have an hour to
Okay.
not lose it. So if you are taking a little bit of time to put together your order and you really want to make sure across all of these different farms, or if a farm's got, it's not unusual during peak production for a farm to have 100 plus listings here. So you're just taking time to put your cart together. You've got an hour there to do that without risking losing all the product that you've kind of started with. Nobody else is going to be able to purchase that once you put it into your cart.
I know I
Um,
saw that clock ticking down, and I was like, "What is that?" I was like, "I'm glad you." Okay, that's good to know though,
yeah,
because sometimes you got decisions to make, and you're trying to figure it all out, and you don't want something to get gone while you're trying to figure something out. So,
right. Yeah, you
um,
don't you don't want to be buying around, putting together a design around a specific focal flower and then build all the rest of your cart and find that you lost it because everybody else was placing their orders at the same time. So you've got an hour here. The hour can tick by quickly if you're not paying attention though. So make sure you've got an eye on that.
okay. Well, so one of the things, I don't know what's next, but I know one of the things I wanted to make sure we looked at was on the farmer end, on the seller end, some of the other retail options that you have or categories you have.
Yeah, so these are the other categories that we have. And within each category, you're able to allow for different sorts of settings. So if I wanted to allow retail only for my buckets, I could do that. The same would be the case for, if I had I'm not offering any CSAs right now, but if I had CSAs, this would be like a retail only purchase. But if I had REITs, then I can offer those up retail or wholesale or through my collectives, if I'm working with a collective. And so you really have the control at the category level.
I see.
So if you want to sell cut flowers to your retail customers, which we definitely encourage after what we saw last year, was that so many people really were craving flowers, and not just the pre-made bouquets that we were putting together as farmers. They wanted access to what florists had access to also, and they wanted to do some DIY design. Maybe they didn't have a florist near them who, they could go to, but they had farms near them. And so this sort of, allows them to have that sort of experience where they can purchase without having to go into a grocery store and feel like, they either aren't seeing product that really speaks to them, or, whatever the reason is.
Sure. Well, and I like the idea too, because I know I can think of a couple farms not far from me that have like T-shirts and have hats, and I can see where there's a gift category or classes. What a great way to sell classes!
Yeah.
Because sometimes you might want to do that, but you don't know the platform to do that on, and so it's all right here. That's awesome.
Yeah, this is really just intended to kind of replace and streamline your whatever sales channels you're using, and take them all so that you're not having to, be texting and using your website and also emailing availability lists and taking orders from people in that sort of channel, or Instagram direct messages, or however you're getting orders coming in. This now simplifies the whole process, and then you have all of your orders in one place. You're able to just deal with, if I had any active orders in here, I'd be able to manage all of those really simply and create harvest lists across lots of different orders. So it's just a really simple platform to, again, just save the florist so much time, save the farmers so much time, and really broaden access to everybody to locally grown flowers.
Yeah, I was just thinking that as you were saying that, I'm like, I mean, this really does address one of the main pain points for both sides of the equation. There's the shops and the businesses that want to buy it, but don't know about places that are out there. And then you've got people starting to grow, and they're like, how do I connect to different businesses? And I can see where it's all right here. So that is really
and
great.
and a lot of farms that have been operating for a while and are really feeling the pressure from using a system that does not scale well, from using something like Shopify, something that's just not built for flowers. It's just not built for perishable product. It's just not built for, really sort of mimicking how we as human farmers are making decisions about relationships, and human florists and how they're thinking about buying flowers. I think the being able to facilitate and just allow these, both the florists and the farmers to behave in a way that they would like to anyway, but
Right.
do it in a way that simplifies it all with technology is really exciting, because it's not us telling you how to run your business. It's you running your business in a way that makes sense for you, but doing it in a way that's just faster and easier and
Mm.
and simplifies your life.
Well, and I can imagine the other thing I just think about so much is, as you're growing your business, you know, how much harder is it to put in 10 bunches than 100 bunches? I mean, it's one more keystroke, and then you have the opportunity to upsell. Yeah, exactly, like that, to upsell, or grow your business with it. And
Yeah.
um, I just feel like, it's a huge time saver, because I know, especially as your business grows and you have more product to sell, you're trying, you've already got this pipeline, so to speak, in place that you can just funnel people through into. I mean, I'm sure you have emails, you have social media, you can put links to this, site on there. You can reach out to people through the site. All those things
Yeah.
are possible, and I just really think that's really awesome.
And we've got fun little stickers in here that you can use on your social media to point people toward your site on Rooted. You can list this out on your website that this is where you're selling your product. So we allow you to kind of just do a copy and paste on all of this so that there just isn't much heavy lifting for you to do if you want to point people to your shop and be able to purchase from you in a really simple way.
Well, and I appreciate. I want to mention it right here, real quick, that for the first year, you've given us a code, which I really, a promo code I appreciate. Flower Podcast 21 to will save you $150 on your first year subscription, and making it free. It's hard to beat that. And if we did talk about more details and things like that in our podcast episode, so if you haven't heard that yet, I want to encourage people to go back and listen. Thank you so much for taking the time to show us everything behind Rooted Farmers. And I'm so excited about this. And I can't wait for people to hear your episode of the Flower Podcast if they haven't yet, but yet to at least get to see behind the scenes what it takes to do this. And it's so simple. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. I really appreciate it. And I think we're really excited to bring this out to the world and see all of the success that we've seen for farmers and for florists and bring that out even more broadly this year. So thank you.
Well, good luck. All the best.